Week 3 of the 2025 SEC football season is officially in the books. What a weekend it was. Folks, we are here reacting and recapping everything that took place in Week 3. Most importantly, giving our reactions to it all. What does it mean? You're going to find out here on this Sunday Fun Day edition of the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered SEC Football Show, the best SEC football show on the internet. Hello, friends. I am Chris Phillips. He is Cole the Bear Thompson, and we appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, you can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And as always, we are powered by our friends over at FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/SECU to get $250 in bonus bets today. Hello, everyone. This is the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered SEC Football Show, the best SEC football show on the internet. Sunday Fun Day edition, week number 3, as we react to and recap everything that took place in week 3 of the 2025 SEC football season. And again, what a weekend it was. We had instant classics all across the country, not just in the SEC. We had big-time upsets. We had statements made, and we have got a lot to say about it here on this Sunday night, September the 14th, 2025. Once again, we appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. We'll be taking your questions and your comments throughout the show as well. As always, I am Chris Phillips. Joining me, as he always does, my good friend, my co-host, my colleague, my partner in crime, and someone who is powering through a little bit of sickness right now, but it can't hold this man down. Cole the Bear Thompson. Bear, what's going on, man? Appreciate you taking the time and appreciate you being a trooper willing to do this.
Yeah, guys, if you didn't realize last night, if you were listening in on the reaction show from Georgia versus Tennessee, something started to not feel a little right. Something was definitely not settling well. So decided to sleep it off, stayed awake for the games, had no energy left to be able to do the Notre Dame reaction. Really wanted to do that. Slept all day. Throat's killing me. Still can barely be able to function. But when you have a weekend, when you have a Saturday built like we saw yesterday, where we're going to look back 50 years from now, and our grandkids are sitting on our laps. They're asking us, hey, what happened in that game in 2025, Knoxville, Tennessee, when that one kick didn't go through and Georgia decided to survive? You're going to remember where you were. You're going to remember exactly how you felt. You're going to remember every moment of that day. When you heard about, is this where Texas A&M finally arrived? Is this where you're going to be able to talk about it? Because you'll remember where you were. You'll remember what you were eating. You'll remember what you had for dinner that night. When you talk about the game of a highlight moment out in Oxford, Mississippi, where a backup quarterback who you did not know if he was going to play or not had to come deliver, you'll remember where you were. You'll remember the type of beer you were drinking. You'll remember what that sound was like as Trinidad Chambliss, such badass name, crossed the goal line for an easy score. And the hero that was Austin Simmons to come on in for one drive, gotta have play to Harrison Wallace. You'll remember those moments. And so your boy the Bear can't sit out on the sidelines because if he has a couple of bets that he has to pay on up, and we'll get to that in a little bit.
Bear, every slate delivers when the college football slate comes around. Again, we talked about this last week. No such thing as a sleepy Saturday or a sleepy weekend. Some deliver more than others. This was one that I think went the extra mile in delivering. So with that being said, Bear, let's dive into it again. So many games to get into, so much to discuss. We have to start with where I was yesterday afternoon, the SEC Unfiltered tour, of course, embarking to Knoxville, Tennessee to watch the Vols and the Dogs do battle. Bear, it is Georgia in a game that you called it, went to overtime, but it's Georgia having the last laugh, having the last say, finding a way to win what might be the game of the year, an absolute thriller. 44-41, the final. Kirby Smart, Gunnar Stockton, the Dogs walk into Neyland and find a way, despite all that occurred, to win this football game. Bear, if you don't mind, let me start with this really quickly. I do want to say thank you to all the great folks in Knoxville. We had an incredible time, got there on Thursday. The hospitality was, as you would expect, top-notch throughout. Got to experience a lot of parts of Knoxville that I had not seen before. Old City, most notably being one of those. The city of Knoxville is, I think, one of the most underrated. When I said that on social media, Bear, I got some pushback from folks because they felt like it should be ranked number 1, number 2. There's a lot of people that either haven't been to Knoxville or I think honestly sleep on it a little bit. It's one of the best SEC towns in the entire conference. If you haven't been, put it on your bucket list. Go check it out. It's a lot of fun. Then to game day. And Bear, my first Neyland experience was Tennessee, Alabama 2024. That set a pretty darn high bar. This was as good, if not better, than that day and that atmosphere was. I think the only thing different, because that Bama game in 2024, later in the season, same kickoff time, but it got dark earlier, so the second half essentially turned into a night game. That obviously changes things a little bit, as we do know at every SEC venue. But I'll say this. We always hear from college football fans, hey, you got to go to a whiteout at Penn State. You got to go to Death Valley at night. Folks, you got to go to a game when they checker out Neyland, because it is just different. It just hits different. I mean, I saw Neyland on an incredible night in 2024 when they beat Alabama. I didn't think the atmosphere could get better than that. It was better than that yesterday. Like, something was different. It felt different about the checkering of the stadium. First off, just in the aesthetic, the crowd brought it from the very first snap. Neyland Stadium is the most consistently loud stadium in the country from start to finish. We can have the debate about peak volume. You know, last year in my SEC Unfiltered Tour superlatives, I gave LSU the loudest stadium. I gave it the most difficult place to play. That title is still up for debate in 2025, by the way. But Neyland Stadium, to me, from the first snap to the final snap, is the most consistently loud. And maybe I'm even having a change of heart that it is the toughest place to play in college football. Like, it is just a madhouse, genuinely, in every sense of the word. It is an insane asylum. And it starts, obviously, with the fans. Fantastic people, great folks across the board. I sat with the same exact people I sat with in the 2024 Bama game in Knoxville, which was so cool. Shout out to all those folks again for their hospitality. And then Bear, to the game itself. I mean, every week when I go on these tours, I'm pulling for a thriller. Selfishly, that's what I want. I want a great game, competitive game, close game. Does it help the content if the home team wins? I mean, sure. Right? Like, admittedly, it does. It does help out the vlog. It helps out some of the content, especially if the home team's pulling a big upset. But I just want to see a thriller. And a thriller that we did get. The game of the year, Bear. Yeah. Probably will end up being the game of the year. I'm going to kick it over to you in a second, because I know there's a lot to decompress for both sides. But peak Tennessee heartbreak, first and foremost. Just peak Tennessee heartbreak. You knew Georgia wasn't going to go away in that football game. Heck, I saw it firsthand last year in Tuscaloosa when Georgia got down, 28-0, 31-0, whatever that score was. They stormed all the way back and almost won that football game. Kirby Smart reached into the chest of Tennessee, grabbed their heart, took it out, showed it to them, put it back in, laughing as he did it, and was like, I'll be back for it later. Like, that's what it felt like to me. This evil magician on the Georgia sideline, this evil scientist on the Georgia sideline. You can never count out Kirby. You can never count out the Dogs. Bear, if you want to beat Georgia, you have to beat them. And Tennessee had multiple opportunities to beat Georgia, and they could not do it. That is the reality. There's a lot of positives to take away for the Vols. Tons. Joey Aguilar, I was dead wrong on Joey Aguilar. I am so sorry to Joey Dimes, Joey Aguilar. I mean, I couldn't have been more wrong about what he was going to be as a quarterback. Chris Brazzell emerged as the wide receiver one in the offense. I think Tennessee, there's a lot of optimism, and there should be, that they can be a playoff team. They're going to be flirting right there at 9-3, 10-2. But you have to beat Georgia, and they could not beat Georgia when it mattered. Gunnar Stockton, by the way, looked incredible. the throw he made in the corner of the end zone bear, stuff of legends. That when I think of this game, I'll think about the Gunnar Stockton to London Humphreys in the corner, the throw of the kid's life. He stared down the barrel of adversity the entire game, and every time they needed a big play, and he wasn't perfect, but a lot of times he just stared down it, made the throw. He delivered. He made the big play. Tennessee's a really good football team, Bear, but Georgia's still Georgia. Kirby Smart's still Kirby Smart, and if you're going to beat the Dogs, to be the best, you have to beat the best. You got to kick them out the throne before you can take it. Georgia reminded us of that yet again. People will try to belittle them and scoff at it and say Tennessee should have won. And okay, but Georgia's still Georgia. They find a way to win in situations like this that showed out yet again. Again, there's so much to dive into this game, Bear, because so much happened, but I'll let you get into it. Again, just an absolute classic in every sense of the word.
Yeah, this is going to be a 2-hour show because there's just so much to get to. And it's going to spend a lot of time on this game. Knoxville, number one. I'm an Alabama grad. I'm supposed to hate it. Tennessee. I hate nothing about Tennessee. I hate nothing about Knoxville. I hate nothing about Neyland Stadium. That is the culture, the ambiance, and the validity of what you need for this sport. And we see it on display year in and year out. Fully agree with you. If you ever need to go to one college football game, just as a random fan, do it at Neyland Stadium and do it in a checkered out game. It is an experience of a lifetime. We always start winners on the show, so we got to talk about Georgia. Number one, a lot of people owe Gunnar Stockton an apology. A lot of people down in Athens, a lot of people at the national media level, a lot of people, because guess what? This kid was thrown on the road in a hostile environment into a situation that honestly favored Tennessee. Because of a lot of the selling points that you look at is, well, if Tennessee does X, Y, and Z, and you put Georgia behind the ropes, if you put Georgia behind the sticks, they're going to be in a situation where they may not be able to respond. It happened. Outside of a touchdown pass to Zachariah Branch, it was 21-7, and we were seeing Tennessee hum their way, pick apart left and right, one of the best defensive duos in Glenn Schumann and Kirby Smart consistently. It was a record-setting day for Joey Aguilar. If I would have told you that Joey Aguilar, a quarterback that joined a program at the start of fall camp, would be the one to break a record of having the most passing yards and total touchdowns against a Kirby Smart defense in league history, I would have called you crazy. I would have said to you, go ahead and take that to the bank. And by the way, when you go ahead and cash out and you have no money, you don't come crying to me. But that's what we saw. Gunnar Stockton responded. Just a game that you couldn't write if you were a better script writer because of the way that he was poised and collected, never flinched, had his moments where it was the big fumble. You get the ball right back. You deliver on your end of the bargain. You stepped on up. You played in a calm, poised demeanor that you need to have. And that's the mentality that you want for a Kirby Smart defense. Credible credits too as well. This is why you go out and you add in a Zachariah Branch. Holy crap, the way he was just making plays. Mike Bobo just found that hidden spark. Like there was a second level to his game. And it's like he's at practice someday in Athens going, you know what? Okay, there's the button. Click, and now Super Saiyan mode. Like that's what we're getting from him. Crisp, clean routes, winning at the line of scrimmage, putting defensive backs in a position where they just know the battle's over before it began. And he's a good complementary piece. He is the perfect yin to Colby Young's yang, to what you got with Oscar Delp's yang. This is the type of player that you need, and it's why you go out and you spend that type of money and you bring him into Athens, because if he just is a fit that opens up the offense. But what really won this game for me, and what really was the difference, we're going to talk about Tennessee in a moment, but for me personally, Mike Bobo got a little bit more creative. And I think that he did hold back a lot in those first two games. And we all said, you can doubt Georgia at your own risk. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But just remember, this is Georgia we're talking about. They're not a team that's just going to go down and show you all their cards against Austin P and Marshall. You saw some new plays. You saw some trickery. You saw some moments that allowed you to feel like that Tennessee wasn't expecting that, because they truly weren't expecting that, which was phenomenal in that standpoint. And guess what? You saw the drive that needed to happen coming out of the break. What was Georgia's identity? What has always been Georgia's identity? We're going to run the football. We're going to physically outwork you. We're going to physically make you tired. And you're just going to have to shut up and take it. 14-play drive. 8 minutes off the clock. 13 rush attempts. 1 pass attempt. They said, if we're going to win with our style. Physical back in Josh McCray. Physical performance from what you saw from Gunnar Stockton. Not being afraid to tuck and run. Nobody at all should be complaining about a 360-yard day with 3 touchdowns. Nobody should be complaining about that whatsoever. And then you see the drive in the end. That is what makes Georgia, Georgia. Kirby Smart, you know who he is? Chris Oates, he is a pool player. He's a veteran pool player hanging out in a random honky tonk. And you know what he's doing? He's allowing the young guns, the whippersnappers that come on in and say, hey, Grandpa, get off the table. No, I'll play you for it. And he lets them go ahead and get the ball first, and they can go ahead and play with the stripes, and I'll be solids. And he lets them make the mistakes. He lets them put themselves in a position where they can't respond. Okay, my turn. And then he just goes to work. And quick. It's right back. You owe me $20. Next man up. Who wants to play now? Because I'm running this table for the rest of the night. That's Kirby. And he's mastered it. Because Josh Heupel was a magician yesterday with several of the critical plays and impressive drives. It's just Kirby's been here before. He knows the tricks. He knows the plays. He knows the understanding. And then you gave him the overtime. You make the kick. Game's over. Kirby's right. We were the second best team on the field, and we probably didn't deserve to win. But you know what? You did deserve to win because you found a way to respond. You found a way to be able to come back in a situation where it almost felt like in that episode of South Park, you know, the one where Randy Marsh is fighting Bat Dad, and he goes, hey, I didn't hear no bell. I didn't hear no bell. You didn't hear the bell. Okay, cool. So you're the best around, and you're fighting back and forth, and you're making play, and you're making play, and you're making play, and you knock him out. And then an explosive run by Nate Frazier and 2 physical gotta-have moments from Josh McCray wins you the football game. It's what Kirby does. If you have the opportunity to strike, you have to strike. That's just it. When you kill Georgia, you have to kill them, and you got to make sure they stay dead. You can't give them a moment to respond. Tennessee did. 3 plays. 3 must-have moments were the ultimate deciding factor in this matchup. And ultimately, Georgia stays undefeated, and Tennessee's now sitting at 2-1. But it was an instant classic. I'll let you go because I do have my thoughts on Tennessee, but Georgia.
Yeah, I just wanted to say on the Georgia note, I got a few Georgia buddies that will they'll appreciate this, me referencing this, because admittedly it's them that I picked this up from. But I've talked about this before. I talked about it why Georgia had going back to the SEC title game last year, why they were my pick over Texas. When you talk about Georgia and all the things you're referencing, Bear, about the moments and the way Georgia responds and Kirby Smart, it comes back to DNA traits. The DNA traits went out. And what I mean by that is go listen to anything Kirby Smart has ever said. Go listen to the way he talks to his players in practice. He talks to his coaches. He speaks about the game of football. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. Winning for them, execution, coming up in the critical moments, it is so woven into the fabric of what the Georgia program is. And they've got great players, right? They got the Jimmies, they got the Joes, but it goes beyond that. It's so woven into their DNA that Georgia gets into those types of ball games. Number one, when they get down, they never flinch. They always think this is our game to come back and win. When they get up, even better, right? They don't let the foot off the gas pedal. They say, hey, this is our opportunity to go out and prove a point. When they get into those late game situations, they don't get rattled. They don't get frazzled. They don't get uncomfortable. They're like, hey, practice is hell. The games are easy. That's how I guarantee you Kirby makes it for them. So, when it comes to Georgia, and I think sometimes we overblow trends or history or tradition. With Georgia, it's worth buying into because it's in their DNA at this point. They are what Alabama was under Nick Saban. That's what they are. It's in their DNA. DNA traits went out in the end, and Georgia, to Kirby Smart's credit, who from the people I've talked to in that building and around that program, the dude's an absolute genius. None of this is happening by accident. Georgia's not where they are by accident and just the football gods are shining on them. Sure, you need some good breaks along the way, but great teams make their own great breaks. Let's call it for what it is. It's woven in the DNA of that program because of what Kirby Smart has instilled in them from day one. He's also got great players, but DNA traits, Bear. DNA traits win out in the end. We've seen it time and time again. It is why I picked Georgia going into the ball game, because the Dogs might get knocked off at some point. Hell, they're going to lose a game this season because everybody is. But you just got to show me. You have to prove it to me. And I could take it a step further. Two things, and I'll pass it back to you. Number one, I just talked about, I think Georgia they've essentially slid into the role. They filled in where Nick Saban kind of passed the baton. Here you go. It's your turn, right? Humor me for a moment, Bear. Maybe we need a larger sample size for this. And maybe Tennessee needs to have more success. I was thinking about this today, though. Josh Heupel in Tennessee right now, they feel like Mark Richt's Georgia a little bit, where they're having a lot of success, especially if they keep it up at the rate they have been, winning 8, 9, 10 games a year. Heck, Richt was better. I mean, heck, Richt might still be the head coach or would have been a head coach longer had they had a 12-team playoff. He'd have made it essentially every year, right? So anyways, though, like what I mean by that is like Mark Richt's Georgia was always very, very, very good, but they couldn't get quite over the hump.
They were in the red zone and they couldn't score.
We're starting to get that feeling with Tennessee a little bit. And a lot of season ago, the goalposts have been moved because now we have an expanded playoff. But I think Tennessee fans are starting to feel that a little bit too. And I'll just say this. There's a lot of things to be optimistic about when it comes to Tennessee. The play of Joey Aguilar alone is a sign for great optimism. Guess what, guys? You're going to get healthy on defense. You're going to get your corners back. I think your defense, is going to be fine. But Bear, I could argue Josh Heupel lost you that football game. He went so conservative late in that game. And it's when there's so much that happens in a ball game like that, it's hard to pin it down on one thing because there isn't one thing that cost Tennessee. There's not one play. Everybody's going to look at the field goal. Everybody is. And should the kid have made the field goal? Hell yeah, he should have made the field goal. Game shouldn't have come down to a field goal. I mean, stop him on fourth and forever. Don't let Gunnar Stockton complete the pass of his life to London Humphreys. Don't let him get the 2-point conversion. Don't after you get a turnover when you strip sack Gunnar Stockton, don't run it up the gut, ultra conservative, go 3 and out. That was mind-blowing to me. Don't get a delay of false start to back the field goal up 5 yards. So there was a lot more, but I think late in that game, I think Josh Heupel could have managed that better. I think they almost played in a way not to lose late to me instead of played to win the game, especially like the epitome of it was you get the strip sack off Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah.
And you just, how do you not take a shot there? And I know Joey had thrown a couple picks, but live by the sword, die by the sword. I mean, what was he doing all game? Chris Brazel's down there somewhere. Like, just throw it up. Like, you got to live and die with that, man. And it's hindsight's 2020. If the kid makes the field goal, Bear, we're having a completely different convo. But the fact of the matter is he didn't. Which, by the way, I haven't seen the TV copy yet, admittedly. From what I was told, that kid looked like he wanted to be anywhere else doing anything else other than taking a field goal to win the game at Neyland Stadium.
The second he took a breath when he got on the field, you knew that thing was going right.
Right.
You just knew it. It was like that pit in your stomach. If you were a Tennessee fan watching the broadcast, you knew that this kid had no shot.
Yeah. I just, and like I said, final thing for me, you give all the credit in the world to Georgia, but it's so easy to be critical of Tennessee because this was your shot, man. This was your shot. You had them on the ropes. You hadn't scored more than 17 against Kirby. Bear, you dropped 41 on his head, and you still couldn't beat him. And then you leave a game like this, and heck, the schedules are about to change, Bear. Like, we don't even know if they're going to play next year or the following or how the schedule is going to look, you're just like sitting there like, we might never beat these guys. I mean, it just, give the Dogs all the credit in the world, but Tennessee absolutely let one get away.
Tennessee let one get away, but I do have to say that, and you know me, I try to look at the glass half full. I'm an optimist. I try to as much as possible. You have to look at the situation that you were in and then remember where you came from. Because that, I think, is the bigger storyline than when we talk about when it comes to Tennessee for the long term. They look like a playoff team. The way they played yesterday, if that's the version that we see for the rest of the year, that's a team that is at least fighting for a spot in the 12-team playoff. And they should, because that's what you needed all the way through. Now, the way that I described it last night was, have you ever seen the movie Warrior? And you know where Tommy Reardon is going to the boxing ring and he's like, I'll fight your boy. And he says, just do it for $200. I'll just spar with him a little bit. And he's in there and you watch as Mad Dog gets knocked the hell out. And you hear, stop the fight, stop the fight, stop the fight. And he knocks him out. Well, thank God that Kirby was able to say, not stop the fight, but you heard the bell. Because if you would have scored one more time and it was 28-7, that could have gotten out of control very fast. And I think it's very impressive to see what you had offensively being able to deliver. That was what made this such a different feel. And something that I think you can lean on if you are a Tennessee fan and say, at least we have this to talk about. You didn't have a good second and third quarter. And ultimately, games aren't decided by a quarter. Because if we're just going out the first quarter, again, this was the best performance we've ever seen from a quarterback against a Kirby Smart defense. Ever. And
I didn't know Joey Aguilar was going to miss.
And by the way, look at how many quarterbacks have gone up against Kirby Smart in the last 15 years from his time at Alabama, and how many have gone on to have successful NFL careers. This was the best performance by a quarterback in the history of college football against the man that we consider to be the czar of defensive plays, and his running mate in Glenn Schumann. I mean, they had everything going for them. Everything. Deep balls down the field. You saw incredible moments of the shots. The wide receiver started to grow up in front of your eyes. Braylon Staley had a good game. Chris Brazell had a fantastic game. Mike Matthews had a good game. And it's just, that those are things to where you hung 41 points on a Kirby Smart team. That doesn't happen. But yet still, it's about the game and how you win or lose. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. People will look back at this game and they'll say, yeah, there were a lot of highlight moments. Yeah, there were some moments to where we felt really good. Certainly, this is a place to where we can say we're almost there. But yet we allowed them to hang around just a little bit too long. The two back-breaking turnovers at the wrong time led to 3 points. Momentum shifted in favor of the Dogs. That first drive out of the third quarter was beyond exhausting. And the worst part is that you then had to turn back to your defense because of your offense couldn't strike. And it felt like in that moment, that was where Georgia had decided to come back and the game was going to be over. And then we get the Braylon Staley touchdown. And then we get the big shot down the field and life re-jolted back into Neyland Stadium. And it's almost there. And you got to feel good. And you got to feel like that this team has that next win. And you know what? They won the end of the fourth quarter. But you are right. Josh Heupel played it safe. And ultimately, that was what the deciding factor was. For me personally, I look at three main things. The first one is the drive out of the third quarter. You couldn't get anything offensively to go your way. So your defense had to go back out there. That would automatically hurt you. You couldn't play the tempo ball that you want to play. You couldn't get anything moving after that fumble recovery, which is a back burner. Take your shot. It's a free drive. At that point, you're playing with house money. Just go ahead and let it fly. Who cares if he ends up throwing an interception? It's going to be a deep punt. So they're going to be starting back at their 10-yard line. Guess what would have happened? You gave them a free drive. You could have easily just had something show out of it and then not get a playoff after the Sam Pendleton false start. I thought they should have ran one more play, personally. Just get him a little bit closer, give him a little bit less time to have to worry about anything. Lo and behold, he makes the kick. He's a hero. Never has to buy another drink in Knoxville for the rest of his life. Ending a tradition and ending a streak that's been going on since 2016. And it could have worked, but we don't live in that world. We don't. And unfortunately, that's where we are. And this is where we are with Tennessee right now, where we have to ask the question, okay, we're here. We've gotten here. But how much longer? What else do we need to do to get to that next level? What else do we need to do to get to that next stage? The stage that Alabama's usually at, and the stage that Georgia's at, and the stage that every few years we see from a team like maybe a LSU or maybe a Texas. But what about that? What do we do with that? It's where you are. This is a playoff team. If they play up to their P's and Q's, well, I'll tell you what, you got to continue to show it. Because again, you gave up over 400 yards of offense. Your secondary right now, it's been hit and miss. You can't ever, and this is just a Tim Banks note. Tim, you want to take it from me? By all means, just come back here and say SEC Unfiltered told me I have to do this. Never, ever, 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 ever play man coverage with no safety help over the top on a fourth down got to have play. Because if you have safety help over the top, you take away London Humphreys on that play, and that's not a touchdown. But the fact that they were so committed to playing in man coverage, brutal. And ultimately, that got you back in. It's a good Tennessee team. It's a very good Tennessee team, and I expect them to continue to be back. Schedule's manageable. And honestly, one of the few bright spots is you look at the way that you played. How many more teams are you going to be going up against that you think are going to be at this level? Like how many? Is Alabama going to be at this level? Oklahoma? What are they going to look like? They had their fair share of faults at times yesterday. What are they going to look like against Auburn? We'll have a better test. What are we going to see from Florida at this point? What are we going to see from Mississippi State? What are we going to see from Arkansas, who you get at home? Like, this may be your toughest test. The schedule's workable. Playoff is not off the radar. It just sucks that you know that you're right there, but you're also so far away. It's almost there, but it's also not.
Sometimes somebody just has your number. Kirby Smart has Josh Heupel's number. Bear, in closing, I know, guys, listen, we've spent a lot of time on this game, but when you have a game of the year like we had in Knoxville, it's deserving of it. But, Bear, Georgia is who I thought they were going to be. I thought the first 2 weeks, the overreactions to how porous they looked were just that. Overreactions, I didn't think they'd go score 44 points. I didn't know Gunnar Stockton would look as good as he did, but I fully expected Georgia to come out and play what they did. I think Tennessee's a darn good team too. Like you said, I think this is a team, you look at the rest of the schedule, I think the key for them will be avoid the trademark devastating road loss that has haunted Josh Heupel. Don't have an oopsie against Mississippi State. Don't stub your toe at Kentucky. Don't stub your toe at Florida, which I know is easier said than done. The swamp has played tricks on you for 20 years, but like you said, look at Florida right now. What are they at that point? TBD. Obviously, at Alabama is the one I didn't mention. That's one that's a coin flip ball game for sure, especially if Bama, if they keep improving, we'll see. But this is a team that should be right there on the edge, 9-3, 10-2. They very well could make a run back to the college football playoff. And there's some other tricks on the schedule, like I said, or like you talked about, Oklahoma at home, Vandy to close out the season. My goodness, Arkansas, who knows what they are. But 9-3, 10-2, very realistically, I think, within reach for the Vols and a run back to the college football playoff. I do think it is very possible for this team. So some things to clean up for both sides, but I think there's reasons for optimism for both leaving this game once you get past, especially from the Tennessee side, that initial heartbreak that I know all Vols are feeling right now.
By the way, that defense is going to be so prepared for the Alabama game because Kirby Smart is going to go through that film and he's got 2 weeks to put them through a bloody Tuesday. It's going to be a bloody Tuesday every single day until they get up.
Hey, I mean, listen, we haven't gotten there yet, but Bama's got 2 weeks too.
I know. Listen,
it's another classic incoming. Hopefully. It's
gonna be a game to remember. That's for sure. Yeah. Just like this one is. But I'll tell you what, this is the bar for game of the year, and it's going to be pretty tough to beat. Yeah, except there was a game out in South Bend.
I was about to say, our guy Bo Molinari in the comments has heard about enough of Georgia, Tennessee, because his Aggies, Texas A&M, Bear, easily my best pick of the week. The upset pick comes through. Gig'em pulls the upset 41-40 over Notre Dame, essentially in the closing seconds. No, we're not going to talk about the no call and the hold because Who cares? Who cares? The final score reads A&M gets the win. Bear, what a game, what a win, a signature W it feels like for Mike Elko and company. Notre Dame, by the way, falls to 0-2 and is somehow still ranked in the top 25.
Yeah.
Conversation for another day. But either way, Bear, A&M is 3-0 now, and they get a big win in South Bend, Indiana. Marcel Reed looks fantastic with 360 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Le'Veon Moss runs in 3. That wide receiver room is just outrageous. I mean, Mario Craver, 7 catches, 207 yards receiving, and a touchdown. Casey Concepcion balls out. Again, this was another shootout, high-scoring game. Things to clean up defensively, obviously, for Texas A&M. CJ Carr goes for 293 in this one. But, Bear, when you go on the road in an environment like that, you find a way to win. It don't matter how ugly it is or what the score or what the stats. Dub is a dub, and this was a damn big one for Texas A&M.
So you ever seen the movie Django?
Oh, yeah.
So you know where I'm going with this one. Texas A&M's offense. There's a famous line by Calvin Candy. Call me Calvin Candy. Because you had my curiosity. Now you have my attention. What a performance. Number one, we both took the over. We both took the over. So we won there. We both took Texas A&M to win outright. So we won there. We had doubters and critics and haters in the comment section saying, can't believe that you're believing in Texas A&M. Who's laughing now? Because I'm not. This was a fantastic game. And like we said, if you want to go ahead and talk about that one penalty, make sure that you mention every other one that wasn't called.
Bear, was it a hold? Was it a hold, Bear?
We're not getting into this right now. We're talking about how this game went.
Hey, was it a hold?
We're talking about how this game went.
Hey, listen, it wasn't a hold. It was a form tackle.
It was a form tackle by an offensive lineman.
It was the greatest tackle of that guard's life.
Now, and it's the only one he will ever have, but it was a fantastic one that nobody talked about. Nate Borgature, what a catch. Hell yeah, dude. But what's the thing I've been talking about Texas A&M? And I talked about this last year, and I constantly brought it up. Do you remember what it was? When you get a new coach, it's like living in the house that was previously owned. For a year, the remnants of the previous owner still lingers. Just little things. Maybe it's the wood in the backyard. Maybe it's something like a scratch on the deck. Maybe it's the smell that was kind of lingering from the upstairs bathroom. Whatever it is, it takes a year for you to rid the stench of the previous owner until it becomes your own. The stench of what was the Jimbo Fisher era is gone. Welcome in the Mike Elko era. Because we saw it on full display last night. We saw it from the poise, from the cool, calm collectedness of the players. There were so many moments of just got to have plays. A&M's defense was able to get a critical stop. They also gave up a few more yards. We'll talk about that in a minute. Offensively, they were there. The thing with Texas A&M has always been they have the talent. They always have the talent. They go out and they bring in players, high-profile names, but they don't have the culture. And one thing that I remember specifically saying about when they brought in Mike Elko, Elko just feels like Texas A&M. Nitty-gritty, no nonsense, meat and potatoes type of dude, pound it down your throat, phrasing, throw that one to the wayside. He is not afraid to call things his way. And last season, it was hard to get that culture because if you still had remnants from the previous owner and Jimbo Fisher. This year, it's your team. Everybody that's buying on it, it's your way or the highway. Everyone that's going through the workouts, everyone that's going through the film study, everyone that's showing up late, they have to pay for the punishment. It's your identity. And it was clear as day, night and day difference from what we saw from a season ago. Because of last year, how many times do we remember Texas A&M in a big moment on the road? They need to get a signature win, can't get the job done. Just fall short. This game, Marcel Reed, 1 for 6 to begin the outing. Bad interception. Bad interception to Leonard Moore, one of the best defensive backs in college football. What happened? Stayed cool, stayed calm, didn't flinch. So you know what? I got this. Next drive, lead a touchdown score. That's what you want to see. Good rushing attack. Multiple veterans stepping on up. Le'Veon Moss having a good day. Having a great day from Ruben Owens as a complimentary piece, especially in the passing game. Offensive line did its job, keeping Marcel Reed upright. Creating those opportunities to strike. Excellent game plan and physicality to where they said, we will not be denied. And if we lose this game, it will be because of Notre Dame was the better team. They weren't. Credit where credit's due to one man, Derek Miller. Derek Miller is the general manager down in College Station, Texas. Give him a blank check and make sure that he stays there. Because just to go out and land Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver, worth it. You didn't have these wide receivers last year. So even when you made the switch over to Marcel Reed, he still didn't have that consistency and playmakers that were going to bail him out of trouble. He has 2 of them. And that's not including a third one in Terry Bussey, who nearly took it back in the house on a kick return for a touchdown, if not for a holding call. I mean, like, this is what we're talking about in this game of pure electricity, and gotta have moments, but no fear, no unwaveringness, no halting, just clear eyes. We got this locked in. We know how good of a team we are. And then for Marcel Reed to make that throw. 4th down, gotta have moment. Nate Berkshire coming on in. 5 years in Nebraska, known for being a blocking tight end, getting one-man coverage, zone play, up, down, easy score, the muffed hold, the ability to be able to come back and win. It's a different A&M team. I get it. The defense has got to play better. You cannot give up 400 yards and 34 points. You just can't. And consider yourself a team that can win the college football playoff. But you have pieces. I mean, A&M hasn't had a 1,000-yard receiver since 2013 when Mike Evans was on campus. He's about ready to retire from the NFL. You're going to have a 1,000-yard receiver this year. If you're lucky, you may have 2, because that's how good Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion is. That's how good Terry Bussey can be as a number 3. There is so much to like about where this team is going because of the culture. And then, by the way, Mike Elko acting very cool and very much calm in the postgame. But then when you see him on the sidelines breaking chairs because of bad play and bad execution, I mean, like, that's the type of coach that you need, because you didn't have that underneath Jimbo. It was just go through the motions. Now you got a leader. Now you got somebody that can go ahead and make this better. Now you got somebody who can go ahead and put you in a good spot. There were a lot of penalties, a lot of issues they got clean on up, but the culture shift that we have seen at Texas A&M, I'll tell you what, right now, the 8-4 joke is dead. At least for me. I will not be saying that, because I think at this point, the way that they are looking, this is a playoff team that they continue to go down the path. And it's not the playoff team for the Lone Star State I thought we would be talking about. Not even remotely close. But they are the better team in Texas right now. They are much better than Texas. Far better than what Texas put out there. And it's because of the offense. Another thing I never thought I would say about Marcel Reed. So you know what? Tip of the cap to you, dude. I was wrong. And the nation now knows who you are. The nation now knows what you can do.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Bear, with it was a culture win. I think anytime you have a win like that late on the road, coming down to the wire, you make a big play. You know, I said it going into the Notre Dame game last year in the season opener that I didn't feel like, you know, game 1 for Mike Elko, I just didn't think in his first game they were ready to go out there and beat a team the caliber of a Notre Dame in his first game, top 15 team, because of, like you said, the stench of the previous regime. It is a new day in Texas A&M Aggies football. It is. And long way to go. Long way to go. We're only 3 games in, but this was a pretty darn big one. And now the good news, you've got the bye week. You can clean up a lot of things defensively. You know they will. A lot of loose ends to get figured out. Then you jump back into the teeth of SEC play, but you get Auburn coming to your place. I mean, things set up well, Bear. I mean, yeah, you got to go to LSU, but, you know, to Mizzou will be tough, and then at Texas to close out the year. And you mentioned, what in the world is Texas at that point? Do they finally get it turned around? I mean, who knows? I don't know. But things set up pretty well for the Aggies to be a playoff team. I mean, especially you keep playing like this offensively. It's going to give you a chance in every single game. Marcel Reed obviously has taken a step forward, and a lot of it has to do, like you mentioned, with the weapons around him. I mean, again, the receiver room is just outrageous. It is. Those dudes are so much fun to watch. The additions, like you said, of Craver and Concepcion, maybe the best pickups in the entire portal cycle last cycle. I mean, the way they balled out and the way they've produced, you and I both love what they have at the running back position. I fully trust Mike Elko to, you know, get it solved on the defensive side. I do. But what a game. I mean, dude, what a game. What a win. Again, game of the year vibes there too. Yep. I mean, really, truly, you can throw it right there with the way we had that
dessert of the night.
finish.
That's what we got. We got the main entree out in Knoxville. We got the good dessert out in South Bend.
Yeah. I mean, it was just part of a whole day that obviously, again, delivered. But, yeah, if you're a Texas A&M fan, I know you're probably kind of trying to back yourself off the ledge, because from the standpoint of, maybe you've somewhat seen this movie before. You've seen the hot start and the fading late, but we got a long way to go. But man, there's a lot of reasons to be really, really excited about this Texas A&M football team.
Here's how far I'll go. When you don't lose a game that you're supposed to win, Florida, Auburn, on the road against Arkansas, like we've seen in the past at times, that's where I will fully bring in that this is a brand new culture. Complete and total different night and day feel that you need to have. But until we see that, I can't get there yet. But I feel really good about where this team is right now. Because in the years past, that was not going to happen. That you were never going to get that win. The second that we saw Jeremiah Love get into the end zone a second time, another good day with him and Jadarian Price, that game was over. A&M was not going to have that fight. A&M has that fight. And A&M's offense right now is giving its defense a shot to recover every single play. And it's because of who they have at quarterback. Again, Marcel Reed's that dude. And I said it last week. He is not getting talked about enough at the highest level. He needs to get talked about more because if he constantly is putting his team in a position to where he can be successful and he can shine. He is far and away the best quarterback to come through since Kellen Mond. And he is a couple of games like this away from surpassing him and being the greatest quarterback to come through since a guy back in 2012 who was able to go ahead and march into the house that Nick Saban built and win a Heisman Trophy. He's getting close.
Huge win for the Aggies at Notre Dame, 3-0. Feeling really good heading into the bye week. Bear, let's go to the game that took place. Let's go to Death Valley. LSU beats Florida, final score of 20-10. Bear, how about that LSU defense? 5 interceptions off of one DJ Lagway. 5. Count them, 5 picks. LSU does just enough offensively, which wasn't a lot, but they do just enough offensively to secure a 20-10 victory. And again, Bear, like this game, the majority of the time talking about this should be spent about the defense. Again, the job that Blake Baker's done, this might be the best LSU defense since the early 2010s. I don't think that's an over-exaggeration.
It is.
Long way to go. Long way to go. But the way they're playing right now, this defense is elite. This is an elite-level defense. Talking to them today, and, I was able to watch a good bit of this game, but wanted to get some more, boots on the ground analysis. There is a lot of frustration, Bear, setting in with the offense. And I think it's understandable, right? Garrett Nussmeier's not playing great right now. 15-27, 220, a touchdown, a pick, 22 carries for 102 yards. You got Brian Kelly snapping at a reporter in the postgame when he's asking about the run game, why they can't run the football, right? So LSU's winning. They're undefeated, but things are very, very testy because of the lack of offense. Bear, I guess maybe this is a silly question, but I'll ask it anyways. Just humor me, and I'll let you kind of get after it. Is the bigger storyline for LSU at this point the way the defense is played or the struggles that the offense has had?
I think it's the defense because you never would have a defense in years past that would give you this much leverage to have anemic drives, stalwart plays, the inability to even create opportunities to connect downfield if you didn't have a defense that was going to always bail you out of trouble. Because that's what we're seeing right now is constant takeaways, the physicality in the trenches, the exceptional press man coverage downfield that just takes away play after play after play after play after play and makes offenses obsolete. Now, again, it didn't help that, it kind of helps you a little bit that DJ Lagway looked awful last night in every sense of the word. And I don't think that there's any way to defend the way that he performed because of, you could just say it was a great defensive outing and that, sometimes somebody has your number. It wasn't that. It was just every single time you watch him, he was reading receivers. He was never going to his second or third option. He was just gunning down safeties and going, all right, cool, screw it, boom. And then just throw it right in the hands of Tamarcus Cooley, throw it right in the hands of Mansour Delane. Like that's what we saw. Like that was it. But still, it's the defense because of how many times we watched as LSU's offense, despite a slow start or a fast one, has the opportunity to finish top 15 in the country in every category, but their offense does nothing. I mean, their defense is nothing. It bails them out of trouble. For years, how many times have we had this conversation, Chris? LSU has to score X amount of points for us to win the football game. Now we're having the question of how many times are we going to ask LSU's defense to get a stop to get the ball back to the offense? We haven't had that conversation since what, 2012, 2013? I mean, that's what we're going at right now.
Yeah, I love what I'm seeing from the defense. I mean, it's Blake. You can't say enough good things about Blake Baker. I want to say this because there's some comments about, and I want to get your take on this, Bear. I think you have really good perspective on this because you've sat in more post-game press conferences than I have with coaches. You've actually asked questions to coaches. I have not done it a ton. Listen, Brian Kelly's frustrated. He's getting the same questions over and over again because the offense has been struggling. They have not been able to run the football really since last year, right, at all. Bear, your take on Brian Kelly essentially snapping at the reporter. The reporter's name, by the way, Michael Cobble. I don't know if that's how you say it. Cobble. I have no idea. Yeah. Anyways, the exchange with the reporter that happened called him entitled. I thought it went a little far. Yeah. I thought it went a little far. I mean, listen, the reporter is valid to ask whatever question he wants to ask as long as it's about, I think on-field play, as long as it doesn't get personal. And here's the reality. Here's the reality. I mean, I am someone, I've been pretty outspoken, Bear, about like the traditional media space and just the media space in 2025. And, we're extremely independent. That is no secret by any means. But I do stand with the guy here that, dude, it's not his job to pat you on the back when you get in the press conference room and celebrate the W with you. It's his job to ask a thought-provoking question and make you answer it. He's not in there to be your cheerleader. He's not in there to be your fan. They are media. You know what I mean? If you're BK, I know you're frustrated. I get it. I know you are. There's a better way to handle it. And I get, too, that I'm saying that. You just came off the field of battle. I understand. The emotions are high. But this isn't your first rodeo. It's not like it's your first press conference. I thought, personally, and Bear, I'm not one of these people that dislikes Brian Kelly. I have no issue with Brian Kelly. I think people are too hard on Brian Kelly.
They are.
I thought it was a bad look. I genuinely thought it was a bad look. I thought he went a little overboard, personally. What does it mean in the grand scheme of things? This is a non-story in a week. Hell, this is a non-story by the middle of this week. But
it's a non-story tomorrow morning.
Yeah, right, tomorrow morning. But because it happened last night, I'm curious to get your thoughts. I thought BK went a little over the top, personally.
So, okay, by the way, I want to bring this up. The other thing that was really impressive about LSU's defense, they lose Whit Weeks to a targeting call, and then West Weeks gets hurt, and they still don't flinch. I'm like, that's when you're playing that way, that's just something that you got to go ahead and tip your cap to for what you have depth-wise to where you're not missing a beat. All right, when it comes to the reporting thing, and I see Hal in the comment section having a lot of questions about this, or compliments or concerns or whatever it is. Comments is probably the best word. Your job as a reporter is to ask the questions that are going to be thought-provoking. That's your job. It's to get answers to things that you need to figure out. Let's call it as is. The rushing attack has not been there right now for LSU. It wasn't there last year. It hasn't been there this season. Right now, outside of the 51-yard run on 21 carries, LSU finished with 49 rushing yards and averaged 1.2 yards a play. You're lucky that you had 5 turnovers and you couldn't capitalize on them. You couldn't. How many points did you walk away with? The score should have been lopsided because if this was a one-sided spectacle, and unfortunately your offense just never was able to get things going. It wasn't. And I see that Hal also has a comment about Nick Saban and how we gave him the benefit of the doubt for years. You want to know what Nick Saban never did? He never called a reporting pool or a fan base spoiled. He would go after reporters, say it was a dumb question. He would not be afraid to fight back. He would not be afraid to be combative. He certainly would raise his voice and his temper when he felt like that the question was too far out of line, which again, Brian Kelly is more in his right to do. But where you crossed the line and you made it more so about your own opinion on where the reporters are is when you said you were spoiled. That was where you crossed it. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that way. It simply doesn't. And if you think that it does, it's you have a problem with the reporter. It's very clear you have a problem with the reporter. I've talked to many people down in Baton Rouge. He has a problem with the reporter. He does. Hal, stop it. In fact, you know what? I'm going to mute you for about 5 seconds. You're going to go in timeout, and then we're going to go ahead and let you back on in. So we're going to let you in timeout. You can come back in 5 minutes because if I'm not listening to your crap on how you think that you know something that I know more than you on, because I know way more than you on this. I do. I'm sorry. I just do. The bottom line is that a reporter is there to ask a question. It's his job to be able to give you full-on breakdowns and not be afraid to make the coach a little rattled. And that's what he did. I get you're frustrated at the offense. I get you're frustrated with how the offensive personnel is. I get how you feel about where this team is going and how right now you're trusting your defense well more than what your offense is. It was a sloppy win. Chris, let me read you the dumbest stat of the day. The dumbest stat you're going to hear. Do you know who had more first downs in this matchup?
Who's that?
Florida, 23-10. You know that you had 5 turnovers. Half of the first downs that LSU had, you had 5 turnovers from Florida in one player, one dude. You outgained them. You outrushed them. You actually look at the numbers overall. You threw for more yards than them per attempt. You also had more yards per play before the last drive of the game. You had the same amount of penalties. You also had more yards than them. All of that. All of that. And it just went your way because of turnovers. In any other matchup, you probably win that game if you're Florida because if your offense did enough to get the job done and LSU's didn't. So you have to be willing to answer the tough questions. Where is this offense? We talked all this offseason about how the running game was going to be better, how the passing attack was going to be more poised, how you went out and you brought in more weapons. An offensive performance like that against Georgia gets you killed. An offensive performance like that against Alabama, you lose by double digits with the way Alabama's playing. An offensive performance like that against Tennessee, you lose by double digits. The game's over before halftime. You don't have to worry about that because you're just getting by. But this is the year where we talked about you potentially being a national champion level team. Can you show that? And so the second that you go ahead and you make it personal with reporters, then you've crossed the bridge. There is a common balance between reporting and leaving your emotions on the sidelines. We're not in there to make you upset. We're not in there to go ahead and have you have an outburst. We're there because they're there to ask honest questions. It's an honest question. Where is the rushing attack? Where is the passing game? Why has the offense been so pedestrian? And it's a common theme now week after week after week. Something's got to change. It does. Because if it doesn't, you're going to start losing games. And this one's going to be on Brian Kelly.
Amidst all that, Bear, LSU did win the football game, and they sit at 3-0. Again, questions with the offense to figure out. They'll jump back out of conference play, go to non-conference play, take on Southeast Louisiana. Their next big one comes at Ole Miss, end of the month. The offense better get rolling by then. We'll talk more about Hottie Toddy in a second, but they are certainly scoring points in bunches. And I think it can get fixed, Bear. I think it can. But simply put, Garrett Nussmeier's got to live up to his preseason building and preseason hype. And I will say this is kind of a side note, Bear, but we're seeing a lot of quarterbacks, it feels like, that have almost like regressed from last year. I don't know what it is, but a lot of guys that came in this season with a lot of hype just not living up to it. I don't know. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier seems to be one of them. I don't know that it's an overreaction at this point because I thought he played a really mature, clean game in week 1 against Clemson. What does that really mean now? But it seems to me some guys have regressed. Garrett Nussmeier looks like he's even regressed a little bit. It feels like to me, bro, there's too much talent in that offense to keep them down. And Florida's got a good defense. Let's give credit there. But you got to get it figured on that side. And the other thing real quick, Bear, before I let you wrap it up, Billy Napier The clock is ticking.
Yeah.
The clock is ticking. This, after the South Florida game, this fairly or unfairly, this felt like one you really, really, really needed to get. They all are at this point, right? They all are. It also didn't help South Florida went out there and got beat around pretty good by Miami, who you now play this week, which, by the way, College game day going to Coral Gables is one of the most just random things ever after DJ Lagway throws 5 picks against LSU. But, yeah, it's we're back to dead man walking status, Bear, it feels like, for Billy Napier after this one.
And the worst part is that it's because of who is the quarterback and the guy that we thought was going to be the reason why you saved your job. I mean, like, that was a performance to where you go back and you watch the tape, just bad reads. I mean, horrendous footwork, mechanics, staring down receivers, not trying to go to your second option, and constantly you get a second chance to be able to capitalize. You go 6 of 17. You have more first downs. You have more total yards. You finish with more yards per pass attempt. You're doing better on the ground, even though Jaden Bod basically did nothing outside of, what was it? One run of over 13 yards, and nothing was working. And it just didn't matter. It was just a who's who of, let's go ahead and get this interception. Let's go ahead and pick this part off. Deshaun Spears, AJ Halsey, Tamarcus Cooley, DJ Pickett, one after another, a big pick 6. I mean, like, that's where we are at this point. And it's frustrating because of, this is somebody who was supposed to be the reason why your program gets back. And it's nowhere near it. I mean, the play calling itself was also dreadful, because if you never saw any identity kind of come in, the other thing that I noticed about this game that was really kind of frustrating is you started to see the confidence level of DJ Lagway and shift a little bit. You know, okay, now another turnover. I'm going to go back out there. The problem was that you had to throw the football, not because you were down, but because of they were making your rushing attack obsolete. Jaden Baugh had 1 carry of over 8 yards. I mean, like, they made you a one-dimensional offense. But this is where you are. This is where we are as a program at this point. And unfortunately, I don't see it getting better. You may have to hold on just a little bit longer. And again, things could change. But I don't know if it's going to be possible. I just don't.
So, Bear, LSU gets the big win over Florida, 20-10. Tigers keep it rolling. Gators are reeling, to say the very least. Bear, let's keep it moving. Let's go to Columbia.
All right, let's do it.
Columbia, South Carolina. Should we save this for last since you're doing it?
No, let's do it.
Okay, all right. Columbia, South Carolina, where Vanderbilt, Bear, not only do they snap a 16-game losing streak to the South Carolina Gamecocks, they do it in emphatic fashion. They put belt to ass at Williams-Brice Stadium as the Doors take down the Gamecocks 31-7. Diego Pavia and company, Clark Lee, and by the way, so you're about to deliver on a bet you made. I'm also going to do so tomorrow. Admittedly, got back in town, had a busy Sunday. I will be, I don't know if it's going to be a Diego Pavia jersey, if it's going to be a T-shirt, if it's going to be his merch. I'd probably prefer it be his merch if I could find that. Something, though. There will be Doors stuff represented on the Overtime Drive on Monday night. You, sir, you love to just play with fate, and fate continues to laugh at you, Bear.
Yeah.
Laugh at you in the face.
So let's just start off with actually the game, and then we'll get to what number one, you could say that, yeah, Sellers got knocked out of the game, because Sellers did get knocked out of the game, and that altered the rest of the overall offensive identity. I don't think it would have mattered. With the way that Vanderbilt was playing, Vanderbilt was just the better team that day. Vanderbilt was the more poised team. Vanderbilt was the more collected team. Vanderbilt was capitalizing on explosive plays. I'm not saying that you did have that opportunity where you could have had a touchdown in Nick Harbor, where, you know, maybe we see a second half surge from 16. Definitely, that would have been it. But Vanderbilt was capitalizing when they had their opportunities too. Should it have been a targeting call? I personally believe so. That's just my 2 cents on it. It wasn't. I understand the frustrations from the sideline of Shane Beamer, but this was an offense that had no juice. They couldn't move the football on the ground to save their life. And then you bring in Luke Doty, And you just know at this point, now all Vanderbilt has to do is wait for South Carolina to make that mistake. That's all you have to do. And then once it does, we're going to capitalize. And they did. Diego Pavi had another good game. Trey Richardson had another good game. The rushing attack by Cedric Alexander was there. I mean, credit where credit's due. This is not the old version of Vanderbilt that we're so used to seeing. This is one that has fight. This is one that embodies who their head coach is. They follow their quarterback into war. They're not afraid to start swinging. That's who they are as a program. That's who they are as an identity. And that's what they want to be. And that's where we have to go ahead and talk about it when it comes to the overall version of Vanderbilt. They're physical. They're balanced. They don't have a lot of self-inflicting wounds. South Carolina did. And again, I'm not saying that South Carolina couldn't have found a way to come back and make this thing interesting if you had LaNorris Sellers. But you didn't. And when you didn't, and when you had LaNorris Sellers, it still didn't matter. Even though the score read, you marched down the field, you got an opening score, and then what was it? Dreadful. No offensive consistency. You finished with 86 rushing yards. This is supposed to be a great rushing attack. You finished with 2 turnovers. This is supposed to be a good passing attack. The wide receivers were supposed to have breakout performances. That's why you didn't go out in the portal and land somebody. I said all offseason, the thing that I'm worried about when it comes to South Carolina is, do they have a wide receiver that they think they can pair alongside with Nick Harbor, a veteran guy? No, we're going to trust the young guys. The young guys haven't come into their own just yet. And ultimately, yeah, there were some blundering plays defensively. You allowed far too many explosive downfield. There were a lot of moments to where you handed the game over to Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt also came in and took it. I mean, like, there is a part of me that has to realize we could talk about losing a quarterback like LaNorris Sellers, but you can't look at just LaNorris Sellers and say to yourself, oh, we got to have him play. Because there are games to where you realize this is where you define yourself as a program that can actually go to the college football playoff. You have to be more than just your quarterback. You do. And you aren't. And you have a quarterback now in Nashville who's putting up points and is going to have an opportunity to go into Tuscaloosa sitting at 5-0. I mean, you have Georgia State and Utah State as your next 2 games. Vanderbilt, who, by the way, the cowards of the AP poll finally said, you know what? Credit where credit's due. I guess we got to rank them. So yours truly was able to make sure that that happened. They're going to be undefeated if all goes according to plan. With that heated rivalry that we just saw from last season down at Turner Field, now coming to your house. What now? What now? And so I went to the store today looking for a Carolina Reaper because if I said that I was going to eat a Carolina Reaper on this show, if South Carolina were to lose the football game, I went to several stores to find a Carolina Reaper. They didn't have any. So here's what happened. I have 3 of the hottest peppers that I could find and a shot glass filled with hot sauce. So we're going to make do. 1, 2, three.
You know, I feel like 1 pepper would have sufficed, and he took the shot of the hot sauce.
I'm sorry for doubting you, Diego. I'm sorry for ever doubting anything that you were. Anchor down. Please let me back into lot 2. I apologize to all of you. I apologize to Dax Roddan. Oh,
Get that man some milk. Get that man.
I apologize a lot too. I apologize to everybody. Oh.
Bear, you're a good man for that. He is a man of his word, if nothing else. Lot 2, let this man back in. Let him back in. SEC Unfiltered. We got to earn our way back into Lot 2. The Bear should have immunity.
Oh.
The Bear deserves immunity.
Oh, that's hot.
3 was a lot. 1 would have made sense for me. 1, but it wasn't my bet, so.
All right, let's go to the next game.
Okay, it looks like you're forgiven, by the way. I'm going to let you recover for a moment because I do have something to say about this game. Number one, you're correct. Vandy went out there, took it to them. They took this ball game. Period, point blank. I'm having trouble even focusing on the game because I'm just looking at you, hoping you don't die, by the way. Either way, all the credit goes to Diego Pavia, Clark Lee, that defense. So many different guys who made contributions. Cedric Alexander in this game. Eli Stowers was fantastic. Trey Richardson, who we talked about a lot, he was fantastic for them. This Vandy team, I mean, they are just – the doors have arrived. Period, point blank, end of discussion. The doors have arrived. And again, let's hope the Bear is okay. But the doors have arrived. Nick Rinaldi had a huge game in this game, 2.5 tackles for loss. Longwell had a huge game, 1.5 tackles for loss in the ball game. The doors have arrived. Put some respect on Vandy. This is a team. They may not have the most talent in the SEC, but they've got great culture. They've got great leadership. And Clark Lee's done a really good job of bringing ball players in there that play their style of football. Vandy football, physical, tough, smash mouth, in your face. They're not the most flashy. It's not the sexiest brand of football, but they make it happen. They make it happen. And they're led by maybe the best leader in the conference in Diego Pavia. Now, on the South Carolina side, what blows my mind for the Gamecocks is that every single year, the storylines seem to be the same. The offensive coordinator and the offensive line. Every single year. It is like a broken record at this point. And I don't understand how that can be the case. I genuinely do not understand how year after year after year, OC, offensive line, always a problem. Bear, are you all right, by the way?
Yeah, I'm fine. And by the way, no, I did not go to the bathroom. I just changed shirts.
Okay. I think everybody here thought you yacked, by the way. Anyways, Bear, you're in Columbia. We got some problems when it comes to Mike Shula. We got this is a broken offense.
It is a broken offense.
And I agree with you. Even if LaNorris Sellers doesn't get hurt, I don't think it matters. Is it 31-7? Maybe not. But they haven't been able to move the ball with him. And here's the other thing I'll say is this. Luke Doty. Good kid. Stand-up citizen. He's a scholar. Been there since 2020. But Bear, this isn't a character competition.
No.
This is a football game, okay? How on God's green earth in 2025, if you are Shane Beamer, how is Luke Doty your backup quarterback? How is he your second best option? When you brought in a guy like Aaron Noland from Ohio State, because you have to come into this season thinking to yourself, hey, we have a quarterback that likes to run. We have a quarterback that is known to take a lick or two. You have to be prepared for a moment like this. And I'm sorry, but having Luke Doty as your QB2, you can argue it's coaching malpractice. It's no slight on the kid, his character. People take this shit so personally when you say something like this. But again, this isn't a character competition. We're not trying to be the better person than Vandy. You're trying to win the football game. I just don't understand how at this point in your coaching tenure there, Luke Doty's still your second best option under center. And again, it goes so far beyond this too. The offensive line is still porous. You're right. You still don't have anybody outside of Sellers at the skill positions that scares you. Who in that receiver room really scares you? I mean, Nick Harbor's a freak. Nick Harbor's a freak, but I still don't think he's like a true bona fide wide receiver one. He's a specimen, but I still don't look at him as that wide receiver one. And then defensively, when the pass rush doesn't get home, I think at times the secondary looks a little susceptible, which again is a lot of secondaries out there. Don't get me wrong, but the defense is, I don't know that it's like significantly worse than last year, but the offense is terrible. It's awful. It's god awful. I don't know if And here's the thing. I've seen, people on social media, not rumors, but people talking, do you change up play calling duties? What do you do? I don't know what they do here, because I've seen Shane Beamer be loyal to Marcus Satterfield, Dowell Loggins when it was going poorly. Like, I don't know that they change up much of anything. And I mean, it all too comes back to this. Dowell Loggins ended up working there, but this is what happens when you make lazy hires. Like, Mike Shula was a lazy hire, man. I don't give a damn. The dude was on your analyst staff, and you just said, let's just promote him. Like, it was a lazy hire, man. Like, I mean, there's other deficiencies here, but like, look at the games that Mike Shula's been the OC. Look at the offensive output. I mean, if you're give all the credit in the world of Vandy, I'm doing that. They don't you dare take anything away from Vandy. But if you're South Carolina, that was embarrassing. That was an embarrassing loss on your home field at night, and you got throttled. And honestly, Bear, shame on both of us. Neither one of us having the stones to pick that upset. Shame on both of us, to be honest with you. Again. Because, right. You paid the price. I'm going to pay the price. But, like, should have seen it coming, I suppose. Like, should have seen it coming. That's all I'll say. I just give all the credit in the world of Vandy. But South Carolina's got some real problems. They like, this is a team, and it sounds like Beamer's optimistic that LaNorris Sellers will be back. But you have to, like, you're kind of concerned. I mean, heck, we talk about DJ Lagway and his injury stuff here. This is 2 years in a row. LaNorris Sellers getting hurt. You could argue call South Carolina a game. So, do we think LaNorris Sellers plays the rest of the season healthy? You hope he does, but I don't know that he does. If this team doesn't have LaNorris Sellers, Bear, they're not even a bowl team.
No, they're not.
This team ain't even going to a bowl game.
And that's the frustrating part, is because of you could have done the smart thing and had a legit coaching search to replace Dowell Loggins. You internally promoted because of who Sellers was as a quarterback, who he reminded you of, and the quarterbacks that we have seen Mike Shula work with. But then you didn't do anything to truly upgrade your offensive line. You didn't do anything to upgrade your wide receiver room by getting that veteran presence in there. Not by bringing in guys that you can trust. Eventually we'll get there, but veteran names that have to be there now. You are trusting one guy to be the answer. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news in this situation. Even if there are similar traits to what LaNorris Sellers does, who LaNorris Sellers is, he's not Cam Newton. And this isn't 2010, where one player can alter the entire premise of a college football season and drag a team through not only a regular season, but through a conference championship, and at best, 3 playoff games. 3. It doesn't work in today's society. You have to have a second punch. You have to have a second gear. And knowing how much you lost defensively, and knowing that you needed to provide more complementary pieces around a guy like LaNorris Sellers, and put yourself in a position to where he doesn't have to be the first, second, and third entity of your team, now you're paying the price. Again, going into this matchup, even if you lose this game, and you lose by 4, your quarterback was going to be the reason you even had a shot. And now you go into Missouri, a Missouri team that is humming, a Missouri team that feels like it may just be breaking on out at the right time. It may be getting ready to go full super sicko mode against you and everyone else.
Bear, a Missouri team that's a double-digit favorite against you.
Yeah.
By the way.
And it's just, it comes back to right now, you have got to pray, number one, Sellers can play in this game. And number 2, he can truly be Superman. He has to be. Because at this point, the only way that you're going to the playoff and winning 9+ games is if he is the answer every single game. That's it. Because if he's not, he has a bad performance. He's not up to par. He's not basically saving the world while also masquerading as a guy who used to wear rec specs on a football field. You're going 8-4 at best. Because there's not a separation at the wide receiver spot. There's not a separation, in my opinion, in the run game. You haven't seen that explosivity out of the backfield. The offensive line is dreadful. This is where you are as a team. It comes down to your quarterback. Credit where credit's due. And it's hurting. Just by the way, I'm letting you know, it's hurting a lot. Credit where credit's due. Vandy came in there and they kicked ass. But you gave them the ability to kick ass when you didn't provide any supporting cast around a guy who needs to have one other person, one other element. Could be anything. Could be a rushing attack, could be a go-to wide receiver. You don't have that right now. And it may cost you a quarterback, depending on what his stats is past this year, a spot in the college football playoff that we all would love to see.
Final two things from me, Bear. Number one, from the Vandy perspective, Vandy needs to give Clark Lee a blank check and have him stay there forever. This is a guy, we give Diego Pavia so much of the credit, deservedly so, but let us not forget this is all happening because of Clark Lee's relentless belief, and you could call it delusional optimism of what Vanderbilt football in his mind can be, not looking at it because of what it's always been. So credit to Clark Lee. I hope that prospects and recruits all over the country see this and say, hey, Nashville's the spot to be. We can turn Vandy into what Clark Lee's vision of Vandy is. And, hey, who are we to say that he can't? I mean, really, genuinely, truly, who are we to say that we can't? I love people that are delusionally optimistic. I'm one of them myself. So I respect the hell out of it, and I respect the hell out of the energy that Vandy program carries because of their leaders like Clark Lee, like Diego Pavia, like everybody in that support staff, everybody in that building who's on the same exact page. There, from the South Carolina perspective, I'm just going to throw this out there because, like I said, it's every single year. It's every single year. South Carolina will never win big consistently until two things get fixed. Until they start taking offensive line play seriously and winning at the point of attack and being the more physical football team on a week-in, week-out basis, season-in, season-out basis, whether that's getting rid of the offensive line coach, which probably should have happened years ago. I don't think it's a talent issue. You're going to be totally honest. Look at their roster. They've brought in some dudes. They really have. You got to be able to win in the trenches. And until South Carolina starts taking these offensive coordinator hires seriously, you're never going to be a real player. Because it's the same story with the Gamecocks every single year. Nobody in Columbia thinks it's talent. I don't think many people that cover South Carolina or the SEC or college football think it's a major talent issue.
It's not.
But the laundry list of OCs that have come through there, heck, take this back beyond the Beamer years, is dreadful. It's downright dreadful, to say the very least. Maybe Mike Shula gets it turned around. I got a weird feeling he doesn't, though. I really do. Can they figure out something from there? We'll see. But, Bear, this looks every bit like the 7-5 I predicted them to be in the preseason when I got put on blast for it, by the way. And right, whatever. It is what it is. Freedom of opinion, all good. Beauty's in the banter, as we like to say. But, hell, they look worse than I thought they would look. I thought they'd go 7-5, and it's just because, hey, some of those close games you won last year, ball bounces a certain way. You know how this game goes, Bear. It happens. Getting dominated 31-7 against Vanderbilt?
Having Vanderbilt,
my bingo card, I got to admit. So
having Vanderbilt's social team talk about the atmosphere of a crazy place like Willie B.
Wild.
It's insulting.
I never thought I'd see the day.
Genuinely. It's insulting.
Yeah.
But they earned it. And by the way, there was a firing today, and I'm sure that we were going to talk about it at some point. We know he has ties there. I do not think Shane Beamer will be the next head coach at Virginia Tech.
No. Yeah, Brent Pry, obviously you're talking about Virginia Tech firing Brent Pry. No, I don't see Beamer leaving. I really don't. I think he's already made it pretty clear.
Pretty.
That he is, and I don't think he wants to follow in his father's footsteps. I think the telling quote, and who knows, right? But from the documentary, I think what he said was that in Blacksburg, he's Frank Beamer's son, and at South Carolina, he's Shane Beamer. It doesn't sound like to me, there'd have to be a major change of heart. And I don't see it happening. I don't even he's gonna be on the short list just because
of who he is.
But as somebody says in the comments, like, why would he go? I mean, Virginia Tech's not as good a job as South Carolina is.
No.
And I say that like I think Va Tech is – they should be. Like I'm not going to go as far as say like college football is better when Virginia Tech's good, but we grew up with Virginia Tech being good. So it's weird to see them so down. But like right now, I think you have to admit South Carolina's a better program. I mean, it's just not even – it's a better situation.
South Carolina is far and away a better program than Virginia Tech is right now.
Yeah.
But is it a better program than Vanderbilt? This is why you have to make sure he is signed to a long-term deal.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, there will be jobs that will open up this offseason that will look at a guy like Clark Lee and say, we need that. And I understand that there is loyalty to a program, and I understand that there is a humbleness to you as wanting to turn your program around. But just be real. Chris and I love each other. We have a great friendship, a great relationship, a great rapport. We all have an asking price. And sometimes you just are willing to go ahead and part ways if the money's there. I don't think it's going to happen for Clark Lee, but I've said dumber things before. And I'll say dumber things in the future. This is not one of them.
Bear, let's keep it moving. We had a thriller. Again, thrillers all over the place in the SEC and across college football. Let's go to Oxford, Mississippi.
One of the best games. One of the best games is simply
out. Incredible game. It almost got kind of lost in the shuffle because all the other stuff going on. But you missed a darn good one if you didn't catch this one because Ole Miss beats Arkansas 41-35. Bear, this was the easiest bet of the weekend. The over essentially cashed by halftime. It's 31-28 at the half.
It was such a good bet.
We had 62.5 and we had 59 with 30 minutes to go. I was like, I think we're going to be okay. Ole Miss hangs on, again, gets that 41-35 win. I believe, wasn't it TJ Daugherty that had the sealed the game late?
Yeah, the final game,
Yeah, sealed the game late there. The story of this game, Bears, got to be Trinidad Chambliss. I mean, Ole Miss, the health and the – I mean, listen, Bear, I'll admit, going in this game, we picked Ole Miss, and this was one you're like, hey, flip a coin. Who knows? The Hogs are dangerous. We then get the report on Saturday that Austin Simmons is not going to start, maybe not going to play. And I'm thinking, oh, dear God, I got to be honest with you. I don't know a whole lot about Trinidad Chambliss. I don't know what to expect. He goes out there and goes 21-29 for 353 and a touchdown. And then, in the most absurd thing of all, Austin Simmons comes in for a play, and he throws a touchdown.
It was the craziest game of all time.
It was
the craziest game of the year.
Ole Miss, Arkansas, SEC West vibe, shootout, drunk game. These games, we talked about it last week. They're always crazy. This was another one in the chapter. Give that Arkansas team credit, Bear. They're gonna trip somebody up. They're gonna beat somebody. I know why Hogs fans don't want to hear that though, because it's like they feel like it's the same old. We're let down again. We're never the bride, always the bridesmaid. But hell of an effort. But man, Ole Miss would not be denied an offensive clinic. And Trinidad Chambliss, take a bow, friend. Take a bow.
Like, okay, every single year, I tell you, this is one of those games that you circle on the calendar, and as long as you don't have money on the line and your team's already played, this is prime television matchup. Like, you have the 4 TVs and you have the couple boxes. This is front and center TV because of weird stuff happens. Just weird things happen in this game. Whether it's the Hunter Henry pitch back to Alex Collins that would have won Ole Miss the SEC West title, whether it's 515 passing yards and over 60 points with Jackson Dart at the helm, whether it's a 4th down call that you have to go for and it's a missed 2-point attempt to send this done to overtime, like whatever it is, this game is weird. What was the weird part of this game? Trinidad Chambliss, who won a D2 national championship at Ferris State, comes on in and he joins the program. And Lane basically made this clear. I'm bringing him in to have a couple of design plays. I'm bringing him in to make our offense have a little bit more juice, just in case of anything. Gets told late last week, Thursday morning, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was when the reporting came out. And by the way, credit where credit's due. There was one reporter, I believe it was from the On3 site. He was all over it. Like from the very get-go, said Trinidad Shane was giving the guy some credit where credit's due for him being able to break that story. You're going to start this game against an offense that features one of the best quarterbacks currently in the SEC, has found its footing with the deep ball. Our defense has been hit and miss at times on deep shots downfield. And you're going to have to go toe-to-toe with him. Good luck. And he ends up playing well. And he ends up balling out. And he doesn't miss a beat when it comes to consistency. And he leads the team in rushing yards. And he adds 2 touchdowns on the ground with his legs. And he's consistent with the deep ball. And he's pound for pound taking shots downfield. And he's looking confident running this offense underneath Lane Kiffin. And it's like, who the hell is this guy? Last season, he was slinging the ball around against dudes who are going to be working for, rent-a-car places in about 6 months. This year, he's killing it in the SEC, and he's making a case to be a starting quarterback for the next couple weeks, if not the rest of the season. And then he gets hurt, thumb injury. Hey, Austin Simmons, you can't walk. We can see you are barely hanging on by your thread with your ankle. Get in there and throw a touchdown pass. And he lifts his way behind the line of scrimmage, waits for Harrison Wallace to break across the middle of the field, and finds him in the back of the end zone. And it's just chaotic madness. And this is where you knew Arkansas was going to win the football. I mean, you knew that Arkansas was in trouble because they turned to the backup quarterback and nothing changed. They turned to their quarterback that was injured and nothing changed. And it was fantastic. Now, don't get me wrong. You got to give credit where credit's due. Also, Taylen Green kept this thing interesting, had over 300 yards of offense through the air, had another 115 on the ground, led the team in rushing yards, led the team in yards after contact, did everything. I mean, did everything that you could want from a passer. And it just wasn't enough. Again, there are some questions that we have when it comes to Arkansas secondary. They missed a lot of guys in the transfer portal. They didn't bring in a lot of talent. And they're struggling at this point to find what their identity is. The other thing is, you may have a couple of receivers that can find ways to get on open, but then you don't capitalize when you're inside the red zone. And yeah, this was a fun game. You saw a lot of back and forth blows. I mean, easily you get the missed field goal to begin, and then it's a 7-7 game at the end of the first quarter, and then it's 31-28 going into halftime. And then comes the third quarter, and it's one drive, 7 points. But then eventually you find your momentum, and you fumble the football the last second. Call the game. That's it. Sometimes there's just is a talent perspective. And I think that this is where we are with Arkansas. Ole Miss is a talented program that always lands the right transfers. And that is what Arkansas should be because of its history, because of the way that it's been performing and the way that it's been able to transcend itself. But at the same time, they're not there. And you're wondering, are we ever going to get there? Can we get there? Because if you got the quarterback and you got some offensive pieces, but you don't have enough defensively to really keep you in most games. You're going to sneak up on somebody. It may be Notre Dame. It very well may be Notre Dame. Could be Tennessee. Could be Texas A&M. It could. But this was also one of those moments where you realize we have a ceiling. Like I heard some people saying, we win this game, all bets are off for who we could be in the future. No, all bets were off that you were going to be 8-4. 8-4 is the ceiling for this team. And you don't want to feel that way about Arkansas because you feel like that it should get a little bit better.
I'll say this, Bear. This game, before the season started, was exactly how I thought Ole Miss was going to have to win football games when it came to their defense. And I think with all they were replacing, how the struggles I thought they were going to have on the defensive side of the football, this is how I thought they'd have to win. And you're right. I mean, this game, we expected it to. It was going to come down to who had the ball last. And Arkansas had it last. Could have won the game. And that late blunder, that late mistake cost you, and the rest is history. Also, fun thing about this game, Bear, the fact that both quarterbacks, I mean, Taylen Green had 420 yards of offense.
He was the offense. He's been the offense all year.
He was the offense. 14 carries for 115 yards. And on the Ole Miss side, Trinidad Chambliss, 15 carries for 62 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns to his credit. I mean, this was, again, you and your buddies sitting down playing EA College Football 26 against each other. And, again, who has it last wins it, or whoever doesn't make the last mistake wins it. And Arkansas made the last mistake, and Ole Miss won the football game. So
here's how bad it was. You had, what was it? 13, 14. You had 23 carries by Mike Washington, Braylon Russell, and Cam Shanks. They still finished with 26 fewer yards than Taylen Green had, with 24 carries. I mean, with 20 more carries. What are we doing here? Like, that was the offense in this game. Credit where credit's due to him, man. I mean, again, I'm just always so impressed with the way that he continues to play.
Yeah.
And it sucks because of, again, if you threw him on a team, like in Texas, like not even Texas A&M, because I see Bo in the comment section. You throw him on a team like maybe Ole Miss for that matter right now, with the weaponry that they have, they're in the college football playoff. 100%, no questions asked. Like, can you imagine him in Josh Heupel's offense? I mean, my God. That's crazy. That's what hurts about rooting for it, I think, an Arkansas fan. Because here I am, instead of praising your quarterback, I'm saying, can we get him to another school so that way he can go ahead and make the playoff? Because that's a dude I want to see play in the postseason. But also credit to Trinidad Chambliss. Kid is a walking phenom. Never gonna have to buy a drink in Oxford for the rest of the year.
Yeah, an absolutely amazing game that delivered again. The offense is explosive. Ole Miss at home, hotty toddy finds a way. Barry, let's go to Tuscaloosa. The Alabama Crimson Tide take down Wisconsin 38-14. Ho hum. You said you wanted to see it from the Tide. They did just that. By the way, don't look now, but your boy placed a Ty Simpson Heisman bet before the season got going. Felt pretty down about it after week one, even though he didn't play that bad. Folks, Ty Simpson's hot. 24-29 on Saturday, 382, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Bear, the defense was flying around. Pads were popping. Ryan Williams looks like himself again. 5 catches for 165, 2 touchdowns. You talk about great wide receiver rooms, by the way. Jeremy Bernard's a freak, 4 for 62 for a touchdown. Isaiah Horton got in on the action, 5 for 48 and a score. Bear, this was a game Bama was expected to win. This was a game Bama, we thought, could have and should have won big. You cover 20.5. You dominate essentially from start to finish. And now Bama goes into the bye week with Georgia on the horizon. There's a lot left still to be proven. I don't know if the taste of the first week has fully been washed out of Bama's fans' mouths, but that was a good sign, I thought, on Saturday, what you saw, the way Alabama went out and took care of their business. Again, the way they did it was what was most impressive.
To me right now, I still worry about the little things. I mean, quite literally the nitpicking. But that's what you do when there is a standard in Tuscaloosa, is you don't care about the signature moments or the highs or...
And by the way, Bear, our guy Blake Ruffino with a question for you specifically.
And this is exactly where we're going to. So that's why. So thank you, Blake. I can't wait to talk to you about how I feel like an idiot, but also how I feel like an idiot for a lot of reasons today, like eating peppers and dipping them in hot sauce. But regardless, again, I'm picking on the little things. The rushing attack is still not there. You wonder if you get back a healthy Jam Miller, is things going to change with that? And I understand that one thing that we got to know about a Ryan Grubb offense is they like to have one feature back. And usually he'll get to 1,000 yards if you make the college football playoff, but nothing more than that. He is a secondary element. But still, no one rushed more than 20 yards on the day. Your running backs combined for 41 yards, no touchdowns. You take away Ty Simpson's 25 rushing yards, you averaged 2.8 yards a carry. You didn't have that secondary juice. And yeah, you have Ryan Williams, and yeah, you have Jeremy Bernard, and Ryan Williams proved that he was back to being the number one, and you got a quality number 2 in Bernard, and there are going to be days where 5 is number 1 and 2 is number 2. But you got to have that secondary punch, especially when you go play Georgia. And this is one of those games where if you had a Jam Miller, and let's just say he only played like 10 snaps, he still would have gotten those reps in that were essential towards his success before going into the belly of the beast that's Athens GA. Going into Sanford, which is going to be a night game. Game day is going to be there. Everyone's going to be talking about it. It's going to have vibes of cinematic masterpiece kind of on display. And you don't want this to be your first moment back. So you still haven't been able to establish the run at a high level. Your defense still gave up far too many penalties, in my opinion. You had your issues when it came to some deep shots. You shouldn't have been able to give up that late touchdown to Danny O'Neal. But you did some things that were really, really positive. Like, you finally got after the quarterback. You had 4 sacks on the day. When was the last time that we mentioned Alabama going into week 3 not having a sack on the season? They had it this game. They were able to create turnovers. Bray Hubbard's interception was phenomenal. You won the turnover battle. You were great when it came to figuring out how to make offenses one-dimensional. You took away their rushing attack. You forced Danny O'Neal to have to throw. I mean, you gave up 2.7 yards of play. No one had more than, I think, a run over 10 yards downfield. You held them to 48% on third down efficiency. You give up 210 yards like a defense of offense. That's a good day. Like, it's a really good day. So I'm nitpicking, but I'm nitpicking because of when you look at the way that Tennessee responded in their matchup against Georgia, and you look at the way that Auburn has been playing, it's very similar with the rushing attack of what you saw with Tommy Castellanos. When you look at the way that Mizzou has kind of turned the corner, these are all teams that at this point, you're no longer living in this world of, oh, we have an elite top tier team and a bottom dweller team. You have a couple of teams that can float from tier 1 to tier 2, a couple of teams that can float from tier 3 to tier 4, and a bunch of teams that are sitting in that tier 2 range that are all going to cannibalize each other. And Alabama still has some of those traits that right now weren't on display. They were able to get after it defensively, but I got to see more from this rushing attack just to feel comfortable. But again, I'm nitpicking. You won a game. You covered a game. You had over 200. You had a perfect performance overall from what you got from Ty Simpson. He's not the problem. He's one of the best damn quarterbacks currently in college football. He looks the part. He feels confident. There is a night and day difference of how the offensive line is protecting him. You're getting back a healthy Ryan Williams. You're getting Jeremy Bernard active in the passing game. And you got some other dudes you can look at. Isaiah Horton having a good day. Cole Adams having a good day. You still have good play from a couple of other guys that maybe you want to see a little bit more from. You mentioned like Loisier Brooks is one. Josh Service is one. So you got some guys that you can look into. But like, still, it's just some things just didn't sit right to where I want to see what this team can be. I'm not running them out. I'm not writing them out whatsoever. This is the Alabama that I think that we were promised. And also, now that we have a bit more information on Florida State, maybe Florida State's just really good. And so that win, that win for Florida State was an earned win over a quality team. The test has always been, what do you go look like when you face off against Georgia? And now we don't have to worry about that.
And certainly going to be a fun one, Bear, in 2 weeks. We'll spend a lot of time breaking that one down, talking about it. But the bottom line is this. Alabama takes care of business against Wisconsin, 24-point win, and won it in a way that they needed to win it. Again, dominating, 7 of those Wisconsin points came on a kickoff return for a touchdown. So the defense was elite, only allowing a score. And again, always good to see your quarterback clicking, especially Ty Simpson getting it rolling, especially when it's going to Ryan Williams. Bear, there was a lot of chatter about him. Is he the most overrated player in the country? I think Ryan Williams put that to bed. Bear, that move he had where he legitimately broke the Wisconsin defender's ankles was stuff that, like, the way Ryan Williams can work a sideline, I don't know that anybody in college football can do it. That kid is unbelievable in plays like that. And again, 2 weeks from now, essentially, Ryan Williams will get to go back up against the team that he had his first legitimate breakout moment against when they take on the Georgia Bulldogs. Bear, I want to talk about the best of the rest. Obviously, a lot of other non-conference action that took place. Let me just run through these really quickly, and then we'll kind of give some of our thoughts, and we'll close this thing out. I know we've been going for a while, guys. We appreciate you all hanging with us. This is Sunday Fun Day for you, man. Lots to discuss and break down, and we love it. We love talking about it with you all. Kentucky beats Eastern Michigan 48-23. Mississippi State beats Alcorn State 63-0. Mizzou continues to roll. They beat Louisiana 52-10. Bear, Auburn beat South Alabama 31-15. Oklahoma beat Temple 42-3, and Texas beats UTEP 27-10. Bear, I want to get your thoughts. You can go wherever you like. We don't have to necessarily touch on all of these, but I think the one we're definitely going to touch on, Bear, we need to have a conversation about Arch Manning.
We need to have a conversation about Arch Manning. We need to have a conversation.
11 of 25, 114 yards, a touchdown, and a pick against the mighty UTEP Miners. Listen, I know they play ball in El Paso. I get it. But what's going on? And this is the frustration coming out of folks in Austin, those that cover this team, obviously fans of this team. Bear, I saw as much as people saying essentially it's Arch, it's the offensive line, it's everything, the coaches, the play calling. Like, Bear, these non-conference games are supposed to be opportunity to build confidence. All we're doing is building questions. That's all we're doing.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
What is going on?
I don't know. And the problem is that I don't know if he's hurt. It's clear he's not right. So you and I don't need to sit here and break this down. We know that it's not right, but we don't know what is it. Is it the throwing motion? Is it between his ears? Is it the mentality thing? What is it? Because I can tell you what, this defense is top 5 in college football when it's on its P's and Q's. It is. And you're going to waste an elite defense on an offense that currently has no life to it. You can't run the football. You have no identity in the passing attack. No wide receiver wants to take on that role of being the go-to big, easy red stables button. Nobody wants to break on out and win their battles consistently. And it all comes back to Arch. It's simple throws. It's mechanics. It's little things of just tempo. And he just feels rattled. And the second that it feels like the pressure's on him and the spotlight is there, he forgets how to play football. You know what Arch reminds me of right now? This is what I would do all the time. I had a buddy, and you know what? He doesn't watch the show, so I don't really care. His name was Andrew Evans. And I'll never forget, sophomore year, we had a geology class. We had to take it just for our general assignment in college. So me, Andrew Evans, and our other friend Matt Duran stayed up until 6 a.m. We literally studied the test backwards and backwards. And they basically gave you what the test was. But you know when you take the test and you go through the motions and you're studying up on everything, the best thing for you to do is take a little bit of a breather. Go outside, go for a walk, take a nap, be mentally prepared. Because when you do so much cramming and studying and you're trying to remember every little detail, the second you sit down and the paper is dropped, you forget it. And Andrew Evans did not take a nap. He did not sleep. He did not take a break. He sat on down and forgot every single question that he just learned. And that's Arch Manning at this point. Arch at this level has gone from being a quarterback that is in the film room. He's in the study. He's going through practice. He's doing everything. He's doing media session. He's listening to all the outside noise. And he takes the field and he's under center. And what's the play? Oh, I forgot. Okay, just throw it down the foot of Ryan Wingo. Oh, what's the play? I forgot. Let's just throw it and run around for 50 yards and then throw a pick in the back of the end zone. Let's do that. Because that's what he looks like right now. It's not all him. It isn't. But there are so many other issues right now outside of him. But because if he is a glaring issue, we have to talk about it. There was a point of where I was saying, we got to stop overhyping Arch. Because if he's never going to meet the expectations. Chris, he's not meeting the bare minimum expectations. Like, I was one of the very few people who constantly came on this program and told you that this is somebody that we have got to let him figure things out. And I'm even underwhelmed by the way that he's performing. There's nothing there. He was the worst of the two quarterbacks last night. He was. Sam, we're going to talk about your Mizzou Tigers in a minute, so bear with me. Malachi Nelson was the better quarterback of the day. It just simply was. And I don't know if it's going to get fixed. I'll tell you what. You're lucky that right now the quarterback that is playing worse than you is DJ Lagway. Because if you were telling me right now who was going to win that football game, it's the one that doesn't throw the next interception. And that would likely be Arch Manning. But when you go play in Red River, this version shows up, you're losing by double digits. You go face off against Vandy, they're coming into your house, they're taking vengeance. You play like this against Arkansas, they're whooping your ass. They are. And it's the offense. This is a defense that is elite enough to take you to the college football playoff national championship. This is an offense that's bad enough to go 5-7. That's what you have.
You know who deserves a lot of love right now, Bear? Quinn Ewers.
Oh, holy crap.
Quinn Ewers deserves a lot of love and recognition from those who were his biggest critics over the years.
Do you understand real fast? Hold up. Do you understand real fast? He didn't falter under the pressure. He always lived up to the pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, Arch Manning getting booed by the home crowd. Our guy Sandman in the chat. Appreciate you, my guy, always tuning in. Yeah, Arch Manning getting booed by the home crowd against UTEP. Certainly not on the college football bingo card that I had written out, nor did you, nor did anybody else.
Nobody had that.
I mean, Bear, I don't really know what to think at this point. And now they've got another cupcake coming up. They've got Sam Houston, which, by the way, I saved cupcake. My apologies. How dare I disrespect?
How dare you disrespect
Bo Molinari's mighty UTEP Go Miners picks up, he says. Aggies are having a blast with this. They beat Notre Dame. Texas is struggling. Oh, yeah. Oh, just
how dare you?
Oh, this is Bo's
second team. This is his city.
Right. This is his paradise right here. He's living large.
Now, we do not disrespect this week the mighty Bearcats that come to town at 0-3 or whatever.
Is that not the alma mater of?
That was the alma mater of Mrs. Thompson.
Mrs. Thompson, yes.
Who is a Texas fan.
Wow.
Who grew up in a Texas household.
Conflicting emotions.
So, no, she's not rooting for her team at all. She's rooting for Texas. I can tell you that right now. But we do not disrespect the mighty Bearcats, who just a few years ago was playing for an FCS national title in 2020 against South Dakota State. Fantastic game if you don't remember that.
I don't know. I don't get it. You're right, though. You're right, though. The bottom line is this. Something's off with Arch.
Something is off.
I refuse to believe this is who he is. I just refuse to believe that.
We're getting close to where we have to.
I mean, Bear, what are we going to do if they go out there and struggle against Sam Houston State? It's like another 27-10 game. They're favored by 40 again. Vegas is giving them a lot of benefit of the doubt.
I mean, I'm taking every opponent with the points from here on out. It's the easiest bet in the world right now because Vegas doesn't care. Vegas is not trying to win money, or they're waiting for them to have the moment where they come back. They are. They absolutely are.
I'm not going to pretend like I watched every snap of that Texas UTEP game, but
I watched a majority.
I mean, I was half joking when I said on social media, "Hey, y'all, does Arch suck? Like, are we ready to say Arch Manning sucks? Like, I don't think he does, but I don't know."
It was a game of where just there was a moment where honestly I thought you gotta look at who you have as your second string. You have to, because it was terrible. There was no light, there was no execution, there was no juice, and when you weren't able to run the football and CJ Baxter was out for the rest of the game, and that made you really have to put more in the passing attack. Give you somebody that has no film. I can promise you, whether or not it's an indication on where Arch is, it'll give you a shot to win and cover the spread. Honestly, Caldwell or Owens, you should have gone with one of them just to see, just to figure things out. Because right now, again, this offense, it's a 5-7 team. It's a 5-7 roster that features a defense that is good enough to win a national title. That's where we are. Can we talk about Mizzou? Because I know that Sam wants to hear about Mizzou.
Yes. How about Ahmad Hardy and his 250 rushing yards? And Mizzou, like you said, they're rolling.
It's the easiest bet to pick right now. I took them with our best bets this week. Thank you, Ahmad Hardy, for single-handedly getting me that win. I'll be completely honest. How dare the schools across the country not respect number 26? Not respect who is that man, 29. My apologies. See, I don't even respect him enough. Number 29, that man who is not afraid of any contact, any physicality, and is going to turn on the Jets and let it fly. 250 yards. 250 yards. 6 explosive runs of 20 yards downfield. 11.4 yards of play. This man can do no wrong in my eyes. And now you get a more comfortable Bo Prabula, and you get a good complimentary piece in Jamal Roberts. What did he finish with? Only 46 yards on the day. He got Marquise Davis in the game. He had a couple of big-time breakaway runs. The freshman, 2 tutties. You'll take that. 1 touchdown. My apologies. You'll take that. Kevin Coleman had another good day. Jordan Harris had a good day. Marquise Johnson had a good day. You had 1 fumble, but you didn't count because you got recovered. Defensively, 8 tackles for losses. You made this offense obsolete. They gave up 4 passing yards. 4 passing yards. They made this team pretty much obsolete. And honestly, I didn't think the over was going to hit because if I thought they took out they put in the backups too early. The backups didn't miss a beat. It was a full-on beat-down blundering at Memorial Stadium. And it was a sight to see. And it was one of the best atmospheres for an early kick. And I'll tell you what, you got to love what you see from this team. You got to love to see what you're getting from Mizzou. Because they're playing well. And here's the thing that I will tell you, Chris. Mizzou, the part that I was very concerned about was it was going to take a few games for them to get their feet underneath them. So when they go into conference playing, they would still be having to work out those kinks because it's a lot of new pieces. I know that it's all non-conference games, but through 3 matchups, can you tell this is a team that's filled with a bunch of transfers and a whole slew of new starters? I can't. There's a reason why they're favored by double digits against South Carolina. They look like the better team. They look like a team of this is the offense we're going to get with that schedule. It's Tennessee 2.0 from last season. Go 10-2, you're in the playoff. You're done.
Dare I say they're doing what we thought Texas was going to be doing early on in the season, the way they're scoring at will. By the way, I agree with you. Put some respect on MIZ. You know how much respect I'm putting on MIZ, Bear? The SEC Unfiltered Tour is heading to Como for the first time ever this weekend. Let's go. We're heading to Como for week number 4. Mizzou, South Carolina. We'll see you this weekend. I can't wait to get to Como. I've never been for a game weekend. I've only rode through there, but we're going to Como. We are going to Faroe. We're making it happen.
It's a fantastic place. It's a great college town. It's an awesome environment. I can tell you, nobody wants to believe me, but when you sit in those stands, when you're around those people, when you get embraced by the Mizzou culture, you guys are going to have an experience to remember. And more importantly, let me tell you this, Chris, you will be beloved and you will understand why, even though they are in the Midwest, you got that SEC homegrown field. It is built different. I love Mizzou. You know how much I love Mizzou. I am sad that the Bear will not be going on this trip. It was one that I was trying to make. Unfortunately, I can't. But go make me proud.
You know I'll hold it down for you. By the way, Mizzou, Shane, others that are commenting, where are you tailgating, what you doing? Let me know. Let me know. Because I don't really know the lay of the land like that. I got to be totally honest. Y'all tell me where to go, what to do, where to tailgate. It's going to be a blast. Again, I cannot wait. Going to be a ton of fun. A trip I've been wanting to make for forever, and we're headed there. Again, we have actually not dropped the graphic yet. I don't know. My guy Eric, our guy Reese, not putting respect on MIZ for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Either way, I'm sure Eric's got things going on. We will get that out ASAP. But excited to go. And already, YT Mar standing. Oh, no, Chris is going to be there. We're definitely losing by 60. Hey, that jinx isn't. We're not a jinx right now. We're not a jinx right now. We're not a jinx.
Wait, isn't he though? Isn't why?
Or maybe he's a Gamecock. I don't know.
Isn't he a Gamecock?
I can't tell. I can't tell by the avatar.
I'm pretty sure he's a Gamecock.
Okay, then maybe he's a Gamecock. All right. I don't know. I like to think I'm not a jinx for anybody, but we'll see. Mizzou Shane, lot in is where I'll be, and behind Mizzou Arena is a good spot too. Again, shoot us a DM. Let me know. Would love to link up with you all. And yes, he is a Gamecock. So, I mean, just pulling for a thriller, boys. Just pulling for a thriller. Would love to see nothing more. Bear, anything else? Any other major takeaways? Again, the rest of it pretty ho-hum. I mean, Oklahoma took belt to ass against Temple. This was a game I was never worried about. John Mateer, another big day. Anything else in particular you want to touch on?
Mississippi State running 10-minute second half quarters was pretty freaking hilarious.
Hey, good for Mississippi
Good
State.
for Mississippi State.
We've gone from State going 2-10 to showing mercy on opponents in the second half.
I say,
feels good.
6 rushing touchdowns. Fluff Bothwell had himself a day. You had a great day from Xavier Gatton. You went to your backup quarterback. You got to see Kamario Taylor play. You got to see Luke Cromenhoek play. Blake Shaven had only 173 yards, but he also completed, what was it? 78% of his passes. I mean, my God, like, good for you. You showed up when you needed to. You made a statement that you were more than just a team that could get the highlight win. You would continue that same mantra, and you made a team basically have to scream uncle that we didn't want to play the second half. So good for you. I'll give credit where credit's due. And guess what? Congratulations are in order to the Mississippi State Bulldogs because they've already beaten their win total from a season ago in week. There we go. There we go. That's what we like to see, Mississippi State.
Let's go, Coach Levy. And now you're, I think, like 4 touchdown favorites against NIU.
And all you got to do is just keep the momentum going, and you're going to be ranked potentially this time this year. Ranked.
You're going to be potentially ranked and 4-0 with the Tennessee Vols coming to your house.
Just you know what?
Maybe,
standing ovation. Standing ovation.
Standing ovation. I got to be honest with you, Bear. I got to be honest. I hate to blow my own cover, but God, if that Mississippi State-Tennessee game was any other week than the same week as Alabama-Georgia, I'd be heading to Starkville. No question. No question. But it is what it is. Maybe later this season. Maybe so. We need to check that off the list. Bear, either way, I think that was time to put a pin in it. That's going to do it. Anything else from you? Again, week 3 delivered. Absolutely electric.
We got to do the last bit. Overreaction of the week.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Goodness, you were correct. Almost forgot. Week 3 overreaction. What's your overreaction from week 3?
South Carolina will win one more football game this year. That's my reaction. It is. The way that the offense looks right now, the no juice, the no jolt, it's embarrassing. And as much as you want to go ahead and put it all on just, the injury that happened to Sellers, I get it. But still, you have to have a second plan, and you don't. You don't have a second punch. You don't have another complimentary wide receiver. You've relied so heavily on special teams to win you football games against inferior competition. And then when you go up against a common opponent, it's not that you lost your quarterback. It's you were the outright embarrassing product on the field. And Shane Beamer had every right to be as furious as possible about the targeting call, but he had every right to also lose his bleeping mind on how players responded because it was an embarrassing performance. That's my overreaction.
That's a good one, Bear. That's you. Hey, you got me. You got me with that one. My overreaction from week 3 is Alabama's still going to win the SEC. I think even after the overreactions from week 1, Alabama's still the best team in the conference. And we're going to find ourselves talking about them in Atlanta hoisting the trophy at season's end.
I got one more overreaction. If Alabama's there, so is Tennessee. Tennessee goes to Atlanta. Which is going to be crazy because a lot of other things have got to happen, including beating Alabama.
Like
but your defense is going to get healthier. You're eventually going to get back David Sanders to play your right tackle spot. Your wide receivers look incredible right now, and they're all hit at the right time. And you got a quarterback. You do. It's crazy, but if that's the version we see for the rest of the year from Tennessee, I don't know if I can doubt them in another game. Because if you went up against the belly of the beast and the standard of the conference with so many faults, and not only did you take over the game, but you found a way to respond when you lost the momentum. Not a lot of teams can say they did that or can do that consistently.
I like it, Bear. I like it. I'm trying to think if I have another overreaction to match your second, but I don't know that I do.
All right, attaboys.
Yeah, let's get into the attaboys. I'll start with this one. Clark Lee has to get an attaboy, man. I know it could go to Pavia, but I want to give it to Clark Lee as the orchestrator of this entire thing. What he's done since getting to Vandy, and it feels like, I know this probably isn't the final culmination, but it's culminated into this. Snapping a losing streak, 16 games, 16 long years. There's kids that are freshmen in high school that had never seen the Doors beat South Carolina. That comes to an end, and you do it in Columbia? Attaboy, Clark Lee. Attaboy bringing it home for the Doors.
Attaboy to the quarterback that had no idea what his role was going to be when he signed on to join the SEC. Has one of the coolest names to ever exist in college football. And by golly, if he was starting for Kentucky or maybe even Florida at this point, he'd at least, I guarantee, get to 7 wins. Trinidad Shameless, stepping on up when your team needed you. Having yourself a day rushing the football and throwing for over 300 yards. Attaboy, Trinidad Shameless.
Indeed.
Boy, Trinidad. 6, you can be my quarterback anytime. In fact, Thompson Tech, the Red Wolves, we have an opening. We have an opening for quarterback. I will get my people to contact your NIL people. We'll figure out if you can get one more year of eligibility. We'll make this work.
I love it. Trinidad Chambliss deserves all the flowers and then some. All right, Bear, let's put a pin in it, man. Really good stuff. Really fun show. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. It's always a blast, man. We love these Sunday night shows. Sunday Fun Day always delivers. College football always delivers. You know what else always delivers? Our friends over at FanDuel. Bear and I had a pretty fun weekend with our friends at FanDuel. You should as well. And as always, of course, we're brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel has got you ready for the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5. If it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel's got you covered. The NFL season is here. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/SECU to get in on the action today. Guys, once again, we can't say thank you enough. Make sure you stay tuned. The Overtime Drive will return tomorrow night as we get you ready for Week 4, previewing the upcoming slate, locking in our best bets, much, much more from there as well. Also, game previews and predictions, as they always do, will continue to come your way and drop starting early on Monday, and it will continue throughout the entire week. Also, we got some fun tricks up our sleeves that I'll save for later this week. Really exciting developments happening within SEC Unfiltered that I cannot wait to share with you all. And outside of that, just stay tuned. Content bleeding out of the eyeballs from myself, from the Bear, from the rest of us here at SECU. So once again, guys, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, check us out via podcast. Or get your podcast, you can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. Once again, this is the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered SEC Football Show, the best SEC football show on the internet. He's Cole the Bear Thompson. I'm Chris Phillips. You guys have a great rest of your Sunday night, and we will talk to you all on Monday here on the Overtime Drive. Y'all take care. Cheers.